עם העלה עשן גדול.
עוד לגור חוף גד בטיול 250.
מאוד מעל איזה מקום?
מעל אשדוד.
מאוד גובה שלך?
1.5.
האם יכול לטפס לגובה אחד? יהיה לי יותר נוח לראות אותך.
חיובי מטפס.
Three two Zulu.
Our group interviewed Donald Pageler. He served as a communications technician aboard the USS Liberty in 1966 through 1967. He started off talking about how he got involved in the Navy.
My mother and my aunt cooked up a scheme to send me to a private men's college in Missouri. Got out of school there in the Navy. They put you through a large battery of tests, and he said, "How would you like to become a communications technician?" My brain was going 90 miles an hour, so I'm sure it would beat swabbing decks. So and my uncle had been a communications officer in the Navy. Knew the draft would be breathing down my neck because of Vietnam.
Joined the Navy in June of '66. I was in boot camp till September. I went to crypto school in Pensacola between September and March. I got aboard the Liberty late March.
On May 2nd, 1967, the USS Liberty, which was a technical research ship, departed from Norfolk.
You would be in port at Norfolk for 2 months, and then we would be down off the west coast of Africa for 4 months doing our job, and then we'd come back to Norfolk and you'd do three cruises. We left for Africa on May 2nd, and we were attacked June the 8th.
The Six-Day War between Israel and the Arab nations had just begun. On June 8th, the Liberty was near the Sinai Peninsula when Israeli aircraft and torpedo boats attacked the Liberty.
When the attack started, and I could hear all the metal hitting. The air attack lasted from 2 to 2:25, 2:30. Then the torpedo boats came out around 2:35, 2:40. They came out with Mirage fighters first, and when the fighters left us, we had over 820 rocket and cannon holes in the top side of the ship, not to mention over 3,000 machine gun hits. Then they came out with bombers after that and dropped napalm on us. Somebody said, "Throw yourself across the wounded," that we had on the mess deck tables, and it's a good thing somebody was smart enough to do that, because when the torpedo hit, it was like there was a giant on one side of the ship and just lifted it up. And then we slowly sank back down in the water. And if we hadn't have done that, all those guys would have just rolled off onto the deck, off the tables.
This left the Liberty with 34 sailors killed and 171 wounded.
The Israelis even admit that they had us identified as a American intelligence ship at 6 o'clock in the morning, but then they say, well, somebody took the marker off the board in Haifa at the control center at the shift change at 8 o'clock. So, convenient excuse.
During the aftermath of the attack, the Israelis claimed they thought the Liberty was the El Qasr, an Egyptian ship. However, the two ships looked nothing alike, so people believe the attack was intentional.
Mainly because we were basically a defenseless ship. I mean, all we had was 450 caliber machine guns. Who would attack an old World War II converted cargo ship?
That even the Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service, knew that this ship was in Alexandria, Egypt, and was in dry dock and wasn't even seaworthy at the time we were attacked.
Fearing conflict with Israel, the White House deliberately prevented the U.S. Navy from coming to the defense of the Liberty by recalling the 6th Fleet military rescue support while the ship was under attack.
He said that he had 16 planes, 4 tankers and 12 fighter bombers in the air to come to our aid within 15 minutes of getting our distress call. So there's the slight possibility that they might have even gotten to us before we took the torpedo, in which case they would have saved 25, could have saved 25 guys' lives. The next thing I knew, Secretary of Defense McNamara came on and said, recall the planes. And he looked at Dave and said, I couldn't believe they were going to abandon you guys. And President Johnson came on and said, recall the damn planes. I don't care who dies. I'm not going to embarrass my allies. So the White House left us for dead. It was afterwards. But in around that same time, I got a letter from the State Department with a check for $300, and it said, here's $300 for your wounds. Sign this document that says that you agree to never sue the State of Israel. I was such a scared kid at 21. I signed it. They had told me to never talk about anything. I just wanted it to all go away, you know. So.
Don then told us about his life after the Liberty and the effects that it later caused.
When I was debriefed in Norfolk after it was all over, they said, you've got the highest security clearance anybody can get in this country. Go away, never talk about this to anybody, including your family. So for 20 years, I kept it all bottled up inside. I got out of the Navy. I went back to the University of Kansas, got a degree in business. Graduated from there and found a job. I went to work for a small toy company over in Santa Ana. It was called Cox Manufacturing. In '85, I started losing my vision. I couldn't see the center stripe in the road anymore. Well, fortunately, what was happening is I was having strokes in my eyes instead of my heart and my brain, and that's why I was losing my vision. At the same time, I was having a breakdown from the Liberty. As I said, I was trying to run away from what had happened to me. Basically, I turned myself into a non-person, a non-entity. That's how I kept it away from me. Mm-hmm. That and alcohol helped me keep my mind off of it. And then I found out about post-traumatic stress disorder, and I called the VA hospital in Long Beach. One night, this guy looked at me and he said, you know, you guys got screwed as bad, if not worse than anybody I ever knew in Vietnam. He said, you got every right to be as angry as you can be. And he got right in my face and he said, but it's your anger, what are you going to do about it? And I thought, you're going to have to own this too? I had to live through this and I have to live with this all my life, and now I have to own my own anger and everything. So within a month of being able to go talk about what happened to us, both blood pressure numbers dropped 30 points. And my doctor was right. I should have died on the Liberty. I should have died then. So anyway, during that year and a half, I was in extremely deep depression. Fortunately, I was working with Eva at Hughes Aircraft, and we dated for 6 years. And then we got married in 1993. And unfortunately, I lost her 3.5 years ago, unexpectedly, to heart failure. So for 3 months, I just wandered around this house in a daze in a state of shock. And finally, after 3 months, started going up to the VA. I got into a couple of bereavement groups. So I'm slowly recovering. Eva was the greatest thing that ever happened to me in life.
Don went on to tell us about his many achievements, including interviewing for the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor.
Somebody had told me about the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor in New Windsor, New York. So I put my stuff on their website and everything, and so they asked me to come do an interview.
This stone was put up for our ship in Rochester, New York, and it says by the VFW there, it says something that no other memorial to us has ever said, and that is that we're the most decorated ship in the United States Navy. Mm-hmm. But nobody's ever heard of us because both governments won't deal with it. So, but anyway, that's a picture of Eva and I at that stone.
And where is the stone?
In Rochester, New York. It's actually in a state park called Ontario Beach State Park, okay, which is right on Lake Ontario at the very north end of Rochester. But I'm in the Orange County chapter of the Purple Heart. Matter of fact, I just came back last week from our midterm state convention in Clovis. Because I just want what really happened put into history. I don't want it being manipulated like it has been. And I finally wrote every California and Kansas congressman and senator since I've grown up in Kansas. So I unloaded it and gave it to Congress. I figure if you can go to bed at night and live with yourself, that's more power to you. Losing her was like the end of my life. I mean, it's been really, I've really had to work hard to try and regain life. I'm in this group that is the reason you're doing your thing, the Freedom Committee. The VSOs have kind of kept me alive.